Good morning.
Good morning, everyone. Happy Monday.
It's a little misty out here this morning.
Yeah, we'll see how long we last.
Yeah, it's a beautiful morning though. There was a beaver in our yard just a little while ago, just over there, and eating
grazing,
some grazing on,
which is interesting because that's what we're talking about
Yeah.
today.
Yeah, absolutely. We're talking about nourishing your brain.
Mm-hmm.
So, what does that really mean? Well, it means
There are certain things we can do to brain-like specific things. We're talking about brain health this month, and actually Alzheimer's has been called type 3 diabetes.
Yes.
In some forms of it.
So there are probably several forms of Alzheimer's, and they actually work in combination. But one of the dominant forms is been called type 3 diabetes because it's an inability of the brain to properly metabolize sugar, just like insulin. It's insulin resistance of the brain, just like you can get insulin resistance of your body. So eating low glycemic index foods.
Good morning, Becky.
And what does that? Yeah, hi Becky. What does that mean? Low glycemic index food.
So a lot of times when a patient comes in and perhaps we put them on Recode. Good morning, Carol.
Yeah.
We will recommend plant-forward ketogenic diet. Ketogenic diet, I think a lot of times people think of like Atkins,
which is all double bacon cheeseburgers all the time.
And that's not what keto is. It's plant forward, it's lots of low carb vegetables, normal servings of protein, and then satiety comes from high fat.
Right.
So your body burns fat instead of carbs. So for some patients too, it works really well for weight loss because you're burning fat, not carbs.
Yeah, so plant-forward ketogenic diet really looks like 3/4 of your plate is low-carb veggies. So that's going to be broccoli, cauliflower, Brussels sprouts, asparagus, bok choy, spinach, that kind of stuff. And then delicious things. And then 1/4 of your plate is going to be what I call clean protein, which is all the buzzwords. It's organic, free range, wild caught, cage free, not processed, all that stuff. And so that's the diet, but there's another component to the diet, and it's a 16-8, it's called. So 16 hours of fasting. It would be great if that fast started 3 hours before bedtime, and then lasts 6 hours, and then all of your calories are consumed within an 8-hour period. Now, it's calories that are consumed, so you can drink water and do all that kind of stuff.
Have morning tea.
Yep.
Our meals a lot of times go between like 10 and 6 p.m.
Yep.
So as you can see, it's really doable. You have kind of a late breakfast, early
or snack
lunch
at work or whatever. Yeah.
Maybe a snack in the morning if you're not huge on breakfast, and then 6 o'clock supper. So it's very doable. But can you explain more why your body?
Yeah.
Why this is optimal for your body?
Yeah. So there's there's 3 big processes that happen when you're in a fasted state. The 50-cent words are autophagy, mitophagy, and glyphatic drainage. So those are the 50-cent words, but what do they really mean? Autophagy is, imagine your body as a big city. And all of the cars and trucks, those are your cells, and everything else is the infrastructure or whatever. But the cars and trucks are your cells. And everybody's buzzing along, everything's going great, and then all of a sudden there's this old truck that's billowing smoke and going 20 miles an hour slower than everybody else, and it's just making a traffic jam. Well, autophagy is taking that cell, that truck, off the road, disassembling it, recycling all the parts, so that the system can get back to where it's supposed to be. So autophagy is they're literally called, in the scientific literature, they call them zombie cells. They're cells that are alive, but they're not really functioning anymore. They're taking up resources, but they're not benefiting you. So these zombie cells, autophagy takes the zombie cells off the table, takes them out of your body, disassembles them, and recycles them. Mitophagy is doing the same thing to mitochondria. And mitochondria are the energy factories in every cell. Every cell in your body, with a few exceptions, has hundreds, if not thousands, of mitochondria. In your brain, it's thousands. In fact, your brain is using, of all the calories you consume in a day, your brain is using 25% of them. So 3% of your body weight, 25% of the energy. A lot going on up there. And mitophagy is keeping that all cleaned up and keeping all of the mitochondria working well. And then this glyphatic drainage. What the heck is that? At night, this is strange. This is just recently discovered in like the last, I don't know, 10 years or something. Your brain actually shrinks during sleep, like a sponge being compressed. And then towards morning, it re-expands, sucking in new cerebral spinal fluid. It's a way of cleaning itself. So glyphatic drainage is like lymphatic drainage in the rest of the body. And it's the way your brain cleans itself out. And so if you're not getting good sleep, if you're not nourishing yourself, if you're not getting that nice long fasting period, you're not getting autophagy, mitophagy, and glyphatic drainage.
There you go.
There you go. You ask.
I did ask, guys. I did ask. So we lost a few of you. No, it's really great information. And that's the why. That's why this is so important and why we recommend these things. They're always science-based evidence.
Back to eating. Why are we eating so many veggies?
Veggies are good.
Yes, veggies are good. Veggies are good because they have phytonutrients, antioxidants.
Eat your vegetables, everyone.
So vegetables
and you can make them delicious, especially when you're putting all these yummy oils on them. And I use lots of herbs. Like they're really good. Like the Brussels sprouts, you know, when they're in that oil, like avocado oil. Or what did you make them with on Friday? Did you use avocado or olive? I don't know, but they were
that was
like,
a long time ago. I don't remember.
Friday, he was in charge of the Brussels sprouts, and they were like the best.
Oh,
Brussels sprouts
that was avocado oil.
Yeah, it was like super crispy, and it's good oil. Like when you see the oil on the plate, it's like you know, you're confident that you know that you made it. That oil is good for you. But anyway, so you can definitely vegetables are delicious.
Yeah. So vegetables do basically 6 major things.
Love this info. Yes, Carol. That's why I asked. But
so the veggies do basically 6 major things for you. They're antioxidant, so that means that they so oxidation. If it was on a piece of steel, oxidation is rust, right? So euphemistically, antioxidants are like Rust-Oleum. They prevent rust in your body. They prevent oxidative stress. So that's the first thing it does. They're anti-inflammatory. So they reduce inflammation. They help your microbiome, that teeming ecology of bacteria in the gut that's critical for the function of almost everything in your body. They help with detoxification. I'm not going to be able to remember all 6 now. They help with detoxification.
I should have kept track for him.
No. They help with detoxification. They optimize mitochondrial function because of some of the polyphenols in them. And then the 6th thing is they actually act like adaptogens for methylation. And methylation is a critical pathway for the way your body manages which genes it's going to turn off and turn on, and which proteins it's going to, quiet, and which ones it's going to promote. So vegetables, despite this big carnivore diet craze, which there's very minimal scientific evidence for it. The carnivore evidence is this big, and the vegetable evidence is like off the charts that big. I use carnivore diets for very specific therapeutic interventions for specific periods of time, but vegetables are really important, and they're clearly a long-term constituent of the human diet. So don't get fooled by the crazy crazes. So anyway, they do those 6 things. They do other things as well, but the bottom line is they're very good for you. And despite the fact that the carnivore people tell you that the plants are trying to kill us, that's simply an exaggeration of a tiny fact. There are little bits of that story that are true, but it's blown it into the prominence rather than the background where it needs to be.
And another great nutrient is fish oil.
Yeah.
Whether you are able to eat fish.
This chair is leaning backwards, and I'm doing like this crunch, so I'm getting all this good exercise.
As you can see, you can probably see the screen just slightly.
Yep.
So If you come to the clinic today, my hair might be poof.
It's good. I like your hair like that.
So yeah, fish oil,
Fish oil.
omega-3s.
Yeah, tell us about omega-3s.
They're good for your brain, guys.
Yeah.
They're good for your brains. They're good for your hormones, or not necessarily hormones, but the receptors for the hormones, correct?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So on your cell membranes, think of your cells as like there's a fat bilayer, it's called. So there's a globule of fat that is the outside of the cell, and then there's water and proteins and nucleic acids and good stuff inside. But on this outer rim, there are receptors, and those receptors are basically usually made out of protein, and they need to be able to float around to do their job. And if your cell membranes are made out of things that are solid at room temperature, like, you know, grease and bacon fat and all that kind of stuff, they're not going to be as fluid, and those receptors can't float around as well. If you're eating more things that are liquid at room temperature, like fish oil as an example,
Healthy
especially
fats,
other
other
healthy
healthy
fats.
fats. So that's why
But
this is great for not only brain health, but hormone health,
Yep.
which they do go together as well.
Yep. So that's one of the forms is loss of trophic factors for brain health. But so if those receptors are able to float around, they can do their job more fluidly, more efficiently, and everything works better. So that's the reason for lots of healthy fats, and especially fish oil. DHA in particular, it's one component of fish oil. It's really important for brain development and brain health.
And we have a couple options for.
Yep, we have vegan options, and
well-tested fish
we
oils.
call it fish oil, but we have vegan options of fish oil.
We do.
They come from
Seaweed.
plankton, basically seaweed. Yeah. So anyway, healthy brain, feeding your brain. So what are we doing? We're feeding it lots of low sugar vegetables.
Yes.
We're
low
feeding
sugar
it
shucks.
what?
Low sugar shucks.
Low sugar shucks, yeah. Low sugar, low glycemic index veggies, healthy proteins, and then lots of fat. So this is a very low carb, high fat, moderate protein diet, and we're trying to consume those calories all in an 8-hour period. 16 hours of fasting, starting about 3 hours before bedtime, so that you get all those big words in every night. You get all that autophagy and mitophagy and glyphatic drainage and all that good stuff.
Yeah.
And then, what are we talking about next time? Do you know?
We're talking about purpose.
Purpose, and how purpose intersects with brain health.
Brain health, yes. That's
Our-
kind of our closing of the month.
Yep. You know, it has to do with ritual, community, place, purpose, meaning.
This is one of the biggest components, guys.
Yeah, yep. So this nutrition stuff, everybody's a buzz about it, and it's a big
It's very
deal.
important.
And
I'm
exercise,
not trying to dim it,
no,
but
it's really important. So exercise, nutrition, all that stuff is important, but it pales in comparison to the importance of purpose, place, meaning, and community.
Yeah.
Like by far. And we'll talk about that next time. So it's raining out here.
It's raining on us. I'm gonna
And
be
it's been about
damp.
15-20
Wearing
minutes, so we're
light
going to leave
pants.
here. All right.
We're sitting on beach towels.
Hey, thanks for showing up, guys.
Yeah.
I got to.
been fun.
This thing's making me do a crunch to get up here, and I'm not in shape apparently.
We'll talk to you next week.
Yep.